my wife,
that's snacking.
I met over 20 years ago, used to come. She was born and raised in Samoa. Western Samoa is British Samoa, is where she was actually born and lived there until she was about 6 or 7. They grew all their own food on their plantation.
Oh, cool.
Called a plantation. It was a village. They were very, very poor. It's 12 brothers and sisters.
Whoa.
And we're talking a 4-post hut with a grass thatch roof, no running water, no bathroom facilities in the house. There was out back, there was a hole and a board, and there was a pipe coming from the stream. It was one of those things. And
Your kids are going to have it
They raised
hard.
chickens. Oh my, yeah. She's definitely the heavy at the house.
She tells the kind of stories where kids don't even believe.
Yeah. Well,
My mom used to tell me she rode her bike to her school. It was 2 miles. And there's only one pedal.
Yeah.
I was like, bullshit,
Uphill
dude.
both ways. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the snow. Well, they grew all their own food. They had chickens and pigs, and they would go out into the ocean and they would harvest whatever they could. And they had a really vibrant marketplace in Western Samoa where 3 generations of families would come and they would have, a
That's
booth there,
beautiful.
and they would sell things. And I've been there and I would look in these jars with like eyeballs sticking out
Whoa.
and stuff that was, that had harvested from the floor of the ocean. And of course, I'm disgusted. I'm looking around for some barbecued something or other.
That's not vertical diet.
No. But they had no obesity in their family when they grew up there because they ate all whole foods that they raised themselves. When she was about 6, they moved to American Samoa. And in American Samoa, they had food stamps. And food stamps made them go from food poor to being food rich.
Highly processed foods as well.
Highly processed. To get to the island, the cheapest stuff was seed oils, vegetable oils, sugar, and flour. So they would start eating bread with sugar on it. And that started to be their diet. They no longer grew their food. They didn't have a marketplace because they didn't need to, because you could get cheaper food, just by going to the store with your food stamps and buying those items. And that's when obesity started to take over. So that's when her family started getting fat. Her father ultimately passed away from complications of diabetes.
Oof.
So that's one of the huge, I think, problems is that, and I think we all agree on this now. If you want to know what the cause of obesity is, it's calorie dense, hyper palatable, easy to digest, low nutrient dense foods. It's the processed foods. We're eating too much of them. They're just too easy to overconsume. That's the foundation of the obesity epidemic. We're overeating.
Yeah.
And we're overeating primarily those foods. And so, of course, most folks who are making recommendations, healthy recommendations, are whole foods first. And right behind that is higher protein, because it's satiating, retains lean body mass, has a high thermic effect of food. So anytime you want to intervene in someone's, current meal plan who's having trouble with obesity, you got to slim down the processed foods, like you said, the pantries. Open the pantries. That's where it all is. And of course, the fast food's much the same way. It's a combination. It's not just fats, and it's not just sugars. It's the combination of the two. Is usually in your donuts and your pastries and all of those really tasty foods. It's a blend of those, and you just overeat them. You can't help it.
And the increased amounts, where it's like before it might have been you only eat apple pie for Thanksgiving, but now it's so accessible. You can eat one every day if you wanted to.
And now they deliver it to your house. Like if you're like, I just want a slice of pie. Hey, Postmates, let's get it in this mouth.
And we're headed right into that season right now. The vast majority of weight gain, you've heard before, Lane Norton talks about this all the time, occurs between Thanksgiving and New Year's. We gain something like, I don't know what it is, 10, 12 pounds a year, or a certain percentage of your body weight each year. Probably 8 of that is gained over the holidays, not throughout the rest of the year. And we just keep adding on to that. So it is overconsumption. But saying move more, eat less is truthful, not useful. It doesn't help anybody. It's like, telling an addict, hey, just stop drinking.
Right.
Or,
it's like, how?
Yeah.
Teach me.
And so you do have to go in, you do have to intervene. You have to try and find a way to minimize those pantry foods and maybe some alternatives that are lower calorie, that still taste decent. But then start protein leveraging. See if you can get them to focus on protein. I have 2 kids, 7 and 9, and we have this challenge every day. I want ice cream, and I'll give them ice cream once they've consumed their protein for the day. And then I'm not too worried about it. And that came from Dr. Jose Antonio from the International Society of Sports Nutrition was giving a presentation at the National Strength and Conditioning Association's annual conference in Washington, D.C. It was probably a year before last. And he said about child's nutrition, he has 2 college-age girls who play sports. he said to everybody, and this room was packed with people because they wanted to hear him talk about kids' nutrition. And he said, get your kids 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and forget about the rest.
That's easy.
And
People
they'll
were
be
just
healthy.
like, wow.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Really? It's hard to get them to eat a gram of protein because there's so many carbs running around in all their foods. I sit them down for breakfast. You've got your egg and your toast. The toast will be gone like that.
Yeah,
And now
delicious.
I'm fighting with them to eat the eggs. And so
Yeah.
now I'm making French toast because the egg is in the toast and they have
Oh,
no other
smart.
option,
Yeah.
you know? So there's strategies you can use, you know, I'll mix, that's kind of the monster mash.
Yeah.
I mix the bison with the rice and a little bit of bone broth. They can't eat just the rice.
Yep.
They have to eat the bison too. So that's
Yeah.
what I love about the monster mash.
Yeah.
But those are all just little strategies that you come up with that, you know, hopefully help people. And the exercise component is not even that big a piece. The research suggests that more exercise does not equal more fat loss. It's a tiny component. It's the calories. You can't, you know, you say, you know, outwork a bad diet. We've always heard that.